If you're a car shopper right now, you probably think that your only options are internal combustion or full EV. But when it comes to Ford, you have hybrid and plug-in hybrid technology. You also have a wide selection of powertrains to choose from that are tailored specifically to your needs. So if you are ready to make the switch to the world of electrification, maybe the PHEV is a nice middle ground for you where you can experience the range without having to deal with the anxiety of having to charge it up all the time, because then you can rely on the gas-powered motor. But one of the reasons why I am here is that the 2023 Ford Escape is almost brand new. Now, it's still built on the same platform as last year, but you have a new exterior design, a new interior, and I'm really interested in seeing what Ford has done to this model year. I also have no intentions of this review being the only time checking out the 2023 Ford Escape, because I want to see what the other powertrains have to offer. But in this review, we're going to go over everything: the exterior, the interior, take the PHEV out for a test drive, and also see why, if you are looking at buying a hybrid or plug-in hybrid crossover right now in 2023, then maybe taking a look at the Ford Escape might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Acton Ford in Acton, Massachusetts for allowing me to do this review. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Ford inventory. Also, before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you're notified every time a new video goes live on the channel. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this review. Electrification in the automotive industry comes in a variety of ways, and Ford is one of few mainstream brands that currently has a model and trim for the hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and EV markets across their family of vehicles. Ford is also no stranger to competing in the alternative energy segments, as they've been developing electrified cars and crossovers for quite some time now. With PHEVs growing in popularity, a refresh for the Escape was certainly needed, as Toyota's quick rise to the top with the RAV4 Prime certainly took the industry by surprise. For 2023, Ford continues to build off of and improve this current generation in efforts to make the Escape desirable for new shoppers in this market. And now might be the time to consider going hybrid with the new changes that come with this crossover. Starting off with pricing, the plug-in hybrid comes in at just over $40,000, making the PHEV the most expensive trim for the 2023 model year, and if well equipped, can reach close to $50,000, which you may be surprised to find out is typical for this particular subsegment for the compact crossover market. Since this mid-cycle refresh centers around the exterior cosmetics and sprucing up the cabin, exterior dimensions for the 2023 Escape go untouched. And better yet, the practicality this crossover is known for also transitions to the new model year. More so than in the past, the Escape continues to bank on its car-like design to continue drawing in buyers who are now being guided to upsize from their older Focus or Fusion. While the Escape does have a hatchback-like silhouette, there is plastic cladding around the wheel arches on this model. However, it's highly unlikely you're going off-road with the plug-in hybrid. Drawing your attention almost immediately is the sleeker front fascia, that's sportier and more inspiring than before, with more pronounced LED headlights, but also on this model, we have Ford's coast-to-coast LED light bar that hovers above the grille for a trendy yet futuristic appearance. Unlike competitors, the Escape's Euro-inspired design hides the fact that the platform it's based on is related to the Ford Focus hatchback, which isn't sold here in the US, taking a slightly different approach to the compact crossover segment than rivals, such as the Toyota RAV4 or even the Hyundai Tucson, which take on a traditional SUV design. To complete the front fascia for the Escape, you will have fog lights for improved visibility on dimly lit streets. Moving over to the side profile, standard, the Escape will be sitting on 18-inch machined-faced magnetic aluminum wheels, and while the larger tire size can sometimes diminish ride quality, that won't be a concern for weekday commutes or road trips, as the soft suspension, in conjunction with the added weight of the battery, does give you a lower center of gravity. But that won't translate to the handling or cornering, as the tires aren't wide enough to give you the sensation of being planted to the road. You'll have body color folding side mirrors, to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Then coming around to the back, refreshed taillights will help to modernize the Escape, along with some very minor cosmetic alterations that together gives this crossover a youthful appearance. One of the reasons the Escape has appealed to shoppers is that it lacks the boxy body and roof lines that many in this segment have, while at the same time still falling right in line with others when it pertains to practicality. Surprising to still see in 2023, the dual exhaust outlets are visible on this model, whereas other manufacturers have tucked them underneath the rear bumper to have a cleaner look aesthetically. Under the hood, the plug-in hybrid is powered by a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine and an electric motor to produce around 220 horsepower and 155 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with an eCVT. One of the benefits of opting for this trim is that the electric motor works in tandem with the main power plant to increase efficiency and performance as you travel in the city and suburbs. And through the drive modes available, you can choose when and how the Escape prioritizes electric power. However, because these motors share responsibility, you're going to notice that accelerations from a complete stop aren't the quickest by any means. But with the benefit of electric propulsion, the Escape has a nice linear power band that won't be experienced with the full gas-powered model. Just like last year, the plug-in hybrid is front-wheel drive only, and if all-wheel drive is a top priority, the hybrid model might be the better solution. When on a full charge, the Escape can travel 37 miles on pure electric power, and for overall fuel efficiency, you're looking at a combined average of 40 miles per gallon. Stepping inside, since the 2023 Escape is still underpinned by the same chassis, the changes made to the cabin aren't too drastic, but more than noticeable and beneficial to your experience behind the wheel. On our model today, we have equipped the $4,500 plug-in hybrid premium package, giving us power adjustable and heated leather trimmed seats for both the driver and passenger, with the driver's side having memory seat functionality. One of Ford's strong suits is their ability to provide supportive seats, and due to the firm bolstering, you'll be secure and in place when traveling over uneven pavement or on winding back roads. As you look straight ahead of you, there's a head-up display with a digital speedometer to keep your eyes on the road. But if you had to look down at the instrument cluster, you'll like the improved resolution and quality of this screen, which showcases a wide range of information. And by using the buttons mounted on the leather-wrapped steering wheel, you can customize what you see from this display, including the layout, and when scrolling through the different drive modes, you'll have a color-coded theme to indicate which mode you're in. The highlight for this model year, however, is the enhanced 13-inch touchscreen, with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, to go along with onboard navigation and the 10-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is optional on this model. Despite the upsizing of this user interface, it's still Ford's Sync 4 system that should be easy to navigate and get acclimated with. One major difference is that the physical dials and buttons for the dual-zone climate control have been removed, following the same trend as rivals who've placed most, if not all, of these functions on the main head unit itself. While there are a number of menus to scroll through and interact with, the Sync 4 system is rather simplistic but responsive, making this user experience on par with traditional competitors. Available and equipped on this Escape is a 360-degree top view camera to complement the rear backup camera with trajectory. But this Escape also has a front-facing camera to offer improved visibility when parking on the street or in a garage. Below, you will find a single row of buttons for the Park Assist feature, cameras, and drive mode selector, along with a dial for the volume and also the push button start. Then as we make our way towards the center console, you'll have a wireless phone charging pad, a USB-C and USB input, and a 12-volt outlet. Then between the two front seats, you'll still have the dial for the gear selector for 2023, and your electric parking brake and auto hold will also be found here. Then for the center storage compartment, you'll have plenty of room for smaller items, and rounding out the front seating area, above will be the optional panoramic Vista moonroof, which lets in a lot of natural light to the interior. Now moving on to the second row, as we already discussed earlier on in this video, the Ford Escape for 2023 does go untouched when it comes to exterior and interior dimensions. And if you currently own an older Ford Escape for this current generation, you're going to notice that when it comes to second row legroom, shoulder room, and headroom, it's all the same compared to, say, last year or 2021 model. And because of that, you're going to have plenty of legroom in the back, but also there are a few key differences that really separate the Escape from other compact crossovers in this market and price range. One of them is being the fact that you can slide the second row seats forwards and backwards. Usually it's only reserved for crossovers that are 3 rows, but what this gives you is the ability to fit more cargo space in the back when the second row seats are empty, but also maybe if you do have taller passengers up front, you can have people slide the seats backwards just to give themselves a bit more legroom. Now, because the Ford Escape does have more of a car-like design, I'm expecting a bit more of a lower roof line. And even with the massive panoramic moonroof, you have plenty of headroom. I think if you're on the height of maybe 5'8" or 5'9", you don't need to worry about hitting your head on the headliner. Also, when it comes to legroom as well, pretty spacious back here for sure. Now moving on to the center seat, you are going to have somewhat of an aggressive center hump. However, there's some great placements for your feet. And I do think though that on a shorter drive, you can fit a third person in the center. Now if you are looking for something a bit more family friendly, then take a look at the Explorer. However, if you're strictly looking at a hybrid or plug-in hybrid, the Escape is definitely the way to go. Also, when it comes to shoulder room, I don't really feel that claustrophobic back here at all. Then moving on to the driver's side, the seat is adjusted to someone of my height, around 5'5", and I have a good amount of legroom here. So overall, I think that if you have average-sized adults in this vehicle at all times, everyone should be comfortable. Also, nothing to note here is that the second row seats do recline a bit by about maybe 10 to 15 degrees. That way, if you do have taller passengers, they can feel a bit more relaxed and a bit more comfortable back here. Also, if you're on those longer drives, you can just sit back here and have no care in the world as your driver deals with all the other horrible commuters out there on the roadways these days. Also, nothing to note here as well is that these seats do provide a good amount of support and cushioning as well. And there is somewhat of a bolster to these second row seats. So that way you're going to feel nice and secure if your driver is on those winding back roads. Also back here you do have 2 USB-C inputs, 2 rear air vents, and rounding out the second row seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now coming around to the back, you're going to receive a power liftgate. And inside, behind the second row seats, you're looking at right around 34.5 cubic feet of room with the second row seats adjusted all the way back. When they're adjusted forwards, you get 37.5 cubic feet of room, making the Escape one of the more practical options in this segment. Now, compared to the Volkswagen Tiguan, Honda CR-V, and Toyota RAV4, it is about a 2-3 cubic feet difference compared to those vehicles. So it's not a class leader, but it is better than, say, a Mazda CX-5 or Subaru Forester or even a Subaru Outback. Now, you're going to have plenty of space back here if you are going on a road trip with the family. I think you could probably fit maybe 6, 7, 8 bags of luggage. Also, you can stack them up as well. I was able to fit all my camera gear today, no problem. So it's 2 bags of camera gear, a gimbal box, and a tripod, and I could have gone grocery shopping afterwards as well. Then with the second row seats folded, you're looking at right around 61 cubic feet of room, which really isn't all that bad. Again, it's not going to be a class leader, but still plenty of space if you are moving boxes around or maybe some smaller furniture. Then on both sides of the rear cargo area, you will have some cubbies for some smaller items, such as a couple water bottles, car detail equipment, or maybe even a first aid kit. Then beneath the floor mat, and this is a bit of a surprise to see, especially for a vehicle that's not going to be off-road worthy, you do get a spare tire. So if you do encounter a flat on your road trips or travels, you can fix that and be back on the road. Then you've also probably noticed that in some of the shots there is your at-home charger, so that way after a long drive and you've depleted that electric charge, you can go home, plug it in, and then the next day you're ready to roll. And then finally, not equipped on our model today, but I do see the hooks for it, is your rear cargo cover, which will keep all your valuable items out of sight. So if you are like me and you have camera gear or anything else of value, you can leave them back here and have that peace of mind knowing that no one will be able to peek in and steal what you have. And then once you're done, just press the button and the liftgate will close automatically. So we're now behind the wheel of the 2023 Ford Escape plug-in hybrid. Let's see how this vehicle performs, how it handles, how it drives, how it compares to other vehicles in this segment, and also the full gas-powered model, and to see if this is a nice stepping stone where if you want to experience the world of electrification, but you're not ready to make that full commitment, the plug-in hybrid might be that great option. Now, right off the bat, what I really like about the Ford Escape for 2023 is the updated interior, where it was getting pretty old. And now with the larger 13-inch touchscreen, this really does fit the price point and also where this segment is going in the future and currently, where you are seeing larger touchscreens. You're also seeing some more in-depth full digital gauge clusters. And while Ford did keep this gauge cluster more simplistic, it's still more modernized and the resolution is far better than it was before. Now, currently I am in sport mode. I want to see what this vehicle is like to drive on the winding back roads. One thing I do want to point out though is that by going with the plug-in hybrid, you are going to have thinner tires, and that is going to play a role in the handling characteristics for this crossover. When I featured the Escape last time, it did feel like a lifted hatchback because it is built on the same platform as the Focus, which we do not get here in the US anymore. And with the plug-in hybrid, this does feel a bit more, I don't want to say cumbersome, but it does feel a bit heavier because you do have the battery placement and also the electric motor. And it does translate to the steering, where the steering is a bit tighter and a bit more stiff as well. Now, I do like that though, and I hope that that does translate to the gas-powered model, and hopefully I'll have another opportunity to feature the 2023 Escape later in the year. Also tying into the fact that this does feel a bit more crossover-like, rather than being very agile and quick to respond when it comes to handling. The seating position, you do sit pretty high up in this crossover, more so than the full gas-powered model. And I will need to do some research on that, and I'll probably leave a comment in the comment section below if I find out why this is. But it could be because of the battery placement as well, and you just sit higher up on top of that battery. But either way, you do have a lot of vision here when you are behind the wheel, and because the hood does stick out quite a bit, that doesn't create any blind spots at all. It also gives you a nice commanding feel and presence over the roadways. Now, this 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine is paired with an eCVT, and I gotta be honest, there's no droning here with the CVT, and it does feel like a traditional automatic when you are on these back roads and when you are accelerating. Now, I do feel the body roll. It's not as agile or athletic as the gas-powered Escape, so keep that in mind. But it's still pretty fun, and also, more importantly, it is responsive. Also, in sport mode, I do notice that this is a bit more spry when you are on the throttle. You don't need to really put a lot of pressure on the accelerator to get this vehicle moving. However, when you are in other modes, such as normal, what I do notice is that the transition from the electric motor to the gas-powered motor isn't really all that smooth, and that's typical for plug-in hybrids. But if you are looking for something a bit smoother when you are entering the highway or passing slower drivers, you might want to stick with just the regular hybrid model. But honestly, I have no complaints with the 2.5 at all. Also, even with the 18-inch tires, we're going over the bumps and imperfections quite well. And that's one thing I've really learned to love about hybrid technology, is that you do get the best of both worlds. Not only when it comes to the efficiency, but also just the performance as well. So now that we're in more of a residential neighborhood, I have placed the Escape in normal mode. And the ride quality is very smooth, refined, it's very quiet, and it's very serene. I love the leather-wrapped steering wheel as well, with the aggressive 9-3 positions, also aggressive 10-2 as well, giving you a bit more confidence on these tighter back roads. Also, another thing too, and Ford has really been known to do this with a lot of their mainstream vehicles, is that the seats are relatively aggressively bolstered, and they do keep you in place. They give you a lot of support and cushioning, and really, in my mind, this is a great commuter and long road trip vehicle, especially with the second row seats as well. Those are also cushioned and provide a lot of support. And that to me just goes a very long way with what Ford is doing right now with their mainstream crossovers. Honestly, for a regular daily driver and commuter, I think this is more than adequate. Not only when it comes to your fuel efficiency, the 37 miles of range, also when it comes to pricing, it falls right in line with other plug-in hybrids in this segment. So really it just boils down to what you're looking for in your next vehicle. So all in all, after spending some time with the 2023 Ford Escape plug-in hybrid, what are my thoughts on this vehicle? I personally think the plug-in hybrid is the best of both worlds currently in the automotive industry for a few reasons. One, if you want to experience the world of electrification, you can without having to deal with the range anxiety. But also, if you're somebody with a shorter commute, less than 37 miles, you can go on full EV and not even tap into using that fuel. So you're maximizing the fuel efficiency of this vehicle. And in my mind, the plug-in hybrid is like buying an electric vehicle and a gas-powered model all in one. And that's where I think you can justify the price point for this crossover, because, you know, paying close to $50,000 for a plug-in hybrid does seem rather expensive. But when you factor in all that you're getting there when it comes to the efficiency, and if this is going to be a daily commuter and a short road trip vehicle, you're kind of taking advantage of that electrification. Also, only too, for the 2023 Ford Escape in general, I love what they've done to this crossover. I love the fact that you do have the more modernized cabin with the larger infotainment system and the better digital gauge cluster. Also, of course, the refreshed exterior design, which I think really is going to go a long way for a lot of buyers who love this vehicle, because the 2022 model and even the 2021 was getting up there in age, especially when it came to the layout of the dashboard and just what Ford was offering. But now for 2023, even though this is a mid-cycle refresh, I think they've done enough to make this vehicle very appealing. Also, another thing too is that with the electric motor and the battery replacement, this vehicle, at least performance-wise, does feel more refined than the gas-powered model. So depending on what you're looking for in your next vehicle, I think the plug-in hybrid is definitely worth taking a look at. And in my mind, it is a bit of a surprise when it comes to the on-road performance, because even though you are sacrificing the handling and the ability to throw this vehicle around where it would feel more like a hatchback or a lifted hatchback, this feels more like a traditional crossover. But better yet, you're not losing out on the practicality either, because everything is up front with the electric motor and even the battery placement as well. So you're not losing out on the cargo area and the cargo space, and also, of course, you have plenty of legroom and shoulder room for passengers in the second row. And this, to me, I think is just a great vehicle that is, in my mind, a nice transition from a full gas-powered model. And if you're not ready to go full EV, this might be the vehicle to choose. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review of the 2023 Ford Escape PHEV. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Boston Autoblog, so you can see what I'm up to and what vehicles I'll be featuring in the future. And I will see you guys next time.